Hi Flosstube, my name's Jess and welcome to my channel. I'm Cross Stitch Jess here on Flosstube and also over on Instagram. My pronouns are she and her, and for anyone who's new, this is Alfie. Alfie desperately wants chin scratches today. Yeah, welcome. This is a space where I talk about my cross stitch. If you're interested in why I started Flosstube episode number 1, I talk about that a bit at the start. But for this video, this is going to be a bit of an update on what I've been up to during September. Today is the 30th of September, so right at the end, and yeah, it's been a busy month. I'm gonna talk through a little bit about what I've been up to. I'll try and keep that brief because I don't know, you might not be interested, and then get into what I've been stitching on. One thing to say, I've decided that I'm not going to do like a separate section for haul or things I've bought that are cross stitch related, mostly because I don't really do stash. If I buy something like a pattern or a fabric, it's because I'm buying it to start it straight away, so you'll see what I've bought in terms of new starts. But for the occasional thing like needle minders, for example, or finishing fabrics, I might show them like when I'm talking about what I've done for the month, like where I've been, what I got while I was there. So yeah, that kind of thing will be scattered throughout. Can I have some space, please? You get off. Off you get. Good boy. I'm sure you will come. You can come up here. Stay over there. Good boy. Good job. Cool. So from my, would have been episode number 2, my last sort of monthly. I think these might be monthly, but I'm not committing to that. About a month ago, Flosstube number 2, I talked about how busy the upcoming month was. It was very, very busy. So at the start of the month, my mum and I went on a holiday. I've talked about it briefly, but it's one of these mystery holidays where they give you like a description of what the place is like, and they match it to your answers on a questionnaire, what you're interested in a holiday. Company's called Journee, and we basically, this was one of the envelopes they sent us, and at the airport we opened said envelope and it told us what plane we were getting on, effectively. So our trip was to Krakow in Poland. I've been there before, so based on some of the clues that they sent, I had actually guessed that this is where it was. But we had an amazing time. I would totally recommend it. I would 100% do it again in a heartbeat. And it's a great way, if you're the kind of person who stresses and over plans things, it's quite nice to kind of let go of that and let someone else do the organising. So yeah, that was our trip. And while we were there, the only sort of stitchy related things I bought were some magnets, which I am going to attempt to find suitable backings for to turn into needle minders. So we went to a stained glass window museum, and I bought this, which is just a sort of a flat backed magnet, based on one of the stained glasses that they had there. That was really cool. We got to go on a tour of the stained glass factory. And then just around the corner from where we were staying, there was a little, I'm not the best with ceramics, but these are little sort of ceramic magnets, and I guess they're meant to be fridge magnets. They've got quite chunky magnets on the back. So I need to check, maybe on a little scrap piece of fabric, that they're not going to sort of mark. Alfie, really? But yeah, I got the domino piece because John and I are gamers, and I just thought this one was cute. They're quite big. I'd probably only use them if I was using like a frame, which I don't do very often, but cute. So that was the holiday. I loved it. I would 100% do it again. if you want more, I don't want to bore you all with information about it, but if you want more information, feel free to drop me a message on Instagram, and I will happily answer any questions you have. So got back from that, had a week at work, and then drove up to Newcastle for a wedding. A lovely Stitchy friend who I met back in February, Shelly, was getting married, and a group of us, so I'm not going to say everyone's like Instagrams and YouTubes, but I'll put them below. So Tan, Rachel, Kate, Sherrie and Sally. I always struggle with how many S's there are in that group of friends. There's like 2 Sophies, a Shelley, a Sherrie and Sally. Really throws me every time. So yeah, group of us went up, and yeah, I got to go to their wedding, and it was a lovely day. It was the evening, had some lovely food, did some dancing. There may or may not have been T-Rexes. I may or may not have been terrified by a photographer running at me screaming. I think Sherrie beat me to the punch on that story. But yeah, it was a really lovely day trip. And in there they did, I left it upstairs, but they because there wasn't like a sit down meal, they had little favour boxes that were labelled with your name. And one of the things included, there were chocolates, which, you know, barely made at home. But because Stardew Valley is one of Shelley's favourite games, they had made these little chicken hammer bead magnets. And she was saying everyone got them as a fridge magnet, and for the stitches she put in the hard graft and turned them into needle minders by including a second magnet on the back. So that's super cute, and I love that a lot of my needle minders, I very rarely buy them for myself, just because I stitch in hand. I don't use them a huge amount, but I really like that it means that most of the needle minders I have like a special, like where I got them from, they were a gift, or they were from something like this. So I will always have that little memento with my stitching of Shelley's wedding, Shelly and Stephen. The group of us who went, and several others who couldn't make it, had also stitched Shelly and Stephen a wedding sampler. I've messaged Shelly to ask if she's happy for me to share it, but if she is, I will include a photo or two here. I really enjoyed it. It was really nice. Like, I don't know, it just felt really special, like passing it round and everyone stitching a little bit on it. So yeah, really enjoyed that. What was next? Okay, so that was a weekend. One thing I would say, I've never driven to Newcastle before. I perhaps wouldn't do it for one night again in the future. So the next time I go, I will be making a long weekend or even a week of it, because that was a long drive. I did get to see my best friend Becca though, and deliver the, I think I showed it in episode 2, the Lorna Lane bee that I had framed. So I got to deliver that in person, which was really lovely, and she took me to see her allotment, which I think both of us were like, this is a happy place, I want to stay here. And it was really cute. She had, again, I'll ask her if she's happy for me to include it, but she's got a little boy, and they have a little sign at the allotment saying Benji and Mummy and Daddy's allotment, which was super cute. So during the following week I was back home, and my favourite author, Maria V. Snyder, who lives in the US but she's come over to the UK and done a bit of a book tour while she's here on her holiday. She was here in Birmingham. I was lucky enough to get to meet her a number of years ago, and at the time asked her to sign my Kindle, which I didn't think to bring down, but said Kindle has since died a death. It no longer holds charge, so I can use it, but only if I'm sat plugged in, which kind of defies the point. But since then I have treated myself to a new Kindle, pretty much for Pan Keeper, if I'm being honest, but I thought it was a nice continuation of the tradition to take it along and have her sign it. So yeah, she also very kindly signed many of my books. You're right there, mate. Does my ear smell real good? So yeah, that was a really nice after work pop into town and get that one signed. What else? So the next weekend on, so this is holiday, wedding, weekend after the wedding, I took a road trip down to Cardiff. The lovely Soph very kindly put me up for a couple of nights, and the reason for going down, there was a Stitchy day on the Sunday run by Loopy Lou's Retreats, and seeing as a lot of us were going down anyway, Sophie from Turtle Bay Textiles now, previously Pink Scissors Fabric and Turtle Bay Stitches, had announced that she was going to do a relaunch, sort of merging the two businesses, renaming them and having sort of one name and one identity, I guess, going forwards. So yeah, travelled down on Friday, went to help out with setting up and things, and then it was an amazing day on the Saturday. There were several Flosstubers who live in the area who popped in, but the whole day the shop was bustling and Sophie was just constantly cutting fabric. She was very clearly in her element. Her family was there supporting her, her two boys and her partner. Yeah, so Rach from Turtle Bay, Rach from Talking Dog Stitchery was down because she was vending at the Ladybird, having a moment here. She was vending at the retreat on the Sunday, the Loopy Lou's retreat for the day, and seeing as she had her shop with her, Soph asked her to bring along a little pop-up shop. But yeah, it was such a good day. Sherrie was there, Soph was there, and yeah, we just had a really lovely day, seeing her in her element and seeing hopefully the start of something really special with her launching Turtle Bay Textiles as a brand. While I was there, so she gave out little goodie bags. Right, Alfie, you're gonna have to make a move now. Thank you. Little goodie bags to anyone who made a purchase. I bought a number of fabrics, so went for these two. So it's quite subtle, but this one has a bee pattern, and this one's obviously a little bit less subtle, but another bee pattern. So they're probably going to be a project bag, or 3 or 4, and then some Christmas fabric. I'm not much of a Christmas stitcher, so I didn't want something overtly Christmassy, and I quite like these sort of Scandi colour vibes, and then just some matching lining fabric, something nice and subtle. I also bought some other things, but they are in project bags because they're finishing materials. But yeah, you got a little goodie bag for being there and making a purchase and supporting. So there's a little, I won't get them out because they're stuck, there's a sticker, but there's some little fabric squares, some little charm squares for quilting, which I've never properly tried quilting. I've tried, I'll maybe show you at some point, it's a bit of a train wreck. I tried quilting with a bunch of cut up leftover jeans where they'd like worn out or fallen apart or whatever, but it would be nice. I might try and use some of these for some fabric finishing on maybe some smalls. There was a cute little charm pack with 2 different colours of charms that say 2024. So I will pop those on some finishes. There were some business cards, so Talking Dog Stitchery was there, and also Curvy Girl Envy, who does like embroidered clothing. There were some sweets, and then and a few, they're attached, some quilting clips, always handy, and a little key ring with a little turtle and a little turtle charm. So yeah, it was a really lovely little touch to have a nice little goodie bag. So yeah, that was Saturday. Sunday was then the Loopy Loos retreat. I really enjoyed this. It's the first time I've been to this one. I think the last one she did was the first, and I was in Cornwall visiting family at the time, so I just couldn't make it work. But while I was there, I treated myself to this little set of counting pins. I've been wanting some for a while, but wanted to be able to have a nosy at what Rachel had in person, so I love those. It's a little bird, a flower and a ladybug. And the other thing, I feel like I'm missing something. Check my handy list. Finishing fabrics, project bags. Yep, no, that was it from that weekend. There was something else, which is like the most exciting thing I think I've ever been handed. But I will come to that in plans, because it is, yeah, a future plan for sure. Cool, so that was second busy weekend in a row. Third busy weekend in a row was this weekend just gone. So I literally have just last night gotten back from the Ladybird retreat in Crewe. I've been to one of these before back in April, so this is my second Ladybird retreat, and I really like it. I think I found that 3-day retreats is my sweet spot, so the Friday, Saturday and Sunday. Because of health stuff at the moment, I do struggle with energy, so having like a day trip where it's travel, socialise all day and then travel again just completely wipes me out for like 2 to 3 days afterwards. Whereas I think for a 3-day retreat, and especially this one, it's only like an hour and 10 minutes away, so it's not too far to travel, but I've kind of got day 1 there's travel energy and then settling in. Day 2 I've got a bit more in the bit more in the battery, bit more in the tank, not sure what the right saying is, but I feel like I've got the energy to spare to like go around and meet people and chat and be social. And then day 3 I can be a little bit more reserved and bank some energy for getting home and the unpacking at the far end. So really enjoyed that. Had a lovely table group, so again I'll put people's tag things on the bottom. Sorry, I'm not sorry, but my brain is not quite functioning fully having had such a busy month. But yeah, on my table we had Emma, Jo, Tan, Chloe, Leah, and then my friend Flo, who it was her first retreat, so I think she enjoyed it. I hope she enjoyed it, and hopefully will maybe do another retreat again either next year or the year after, as a chance to catch up. So while I was there, I did make some purchases. So some of these are purchases, some of them are gifts. So first of all, this is going to be a nightmare to show. Let me hold that up against a white bag. There we go. So this is a little acrylic square that Jo gifted to all of the attendees, and also had for sale. It's for measuring from the corner of your fabric, so you would line it up with the corner of your fabric, and you can see there's dots here I guess that's the wrong way around. The dots are at sort of 1/2 inch intervals, so you line up with the corner, put your needle through the hole, and that shows you where to start depending on how much margin you want. This is a very handy little gift, so thank you, Jo. I purchased, I won't open these, but these are some diamond paintings that were on a D-stash table. I've been wanting to try them. I went through a phase of trying really hard to have screen free time before bed to help me shut off and sleep well, and diamond paintings were on my list, and I just, whenever I'm in somewhere like Hobbycraft, I have a look and I don't like what's there. I've just not got around to looking online, so the fact that there were 2 here, and I think they were both quite pretty artwork, I thought I'd give those a go while they were a bargain. We played Pass the Parcel. Jo does this at all of her retreats on the Friday night, and I was going to show it. The layer that I got to unwrap had this needle minder which says swearing will surely help, motto to live by. But yeah, so that was lovely, thank you again, Jo. And then my friend Flo and I were looking at the D-stash table, and there were some needle minders, and I commented that this one was cute. But as I said, I'm not one for buying loads of needle minders myself. But I can't remember what, I went off to do something, popped to the loo, grab a drink or something, and when I came back, Flo had bought this one for me, and left it on my spot at the table. So thank you, Flo. It's so cute. And that again will have that nice memory of where it came from. The last thing that I picked up at Ladybird, which I can't show you the detail of, but I'll show you the cute little bag. I'm participating in a advent calendar exchange, so I've picked a pattern. I've requested it from Rachel, Talking Dog Stitchery, because it's not one she normally stocks, but I know she stocks that designer, so she's going to get that one in for me. I did pick up all the threads while I was there in person, and a few other little goodies for that advent calendar, so I'm excited for that. And I think that pretty much brings us up to date. The next couple of weeks are still a little bit busy, so next weekend it's Tan's birthday on the Saturday, she's having a Stitchy day, and so Soph is coming up, staying with me on the Friday night, just so she doesn't have to do like a long journey, a busy day and long journey. And then the following weekend John and I are off on holiday. So still quite a lot of busy stuff coming up, and I think the weekends in the latter half of October are also starting to look quite busy, so I think it might be another pretty rammed month, but it is what it is. I would not have changed any of the plans. I would not have willingly cancelled anything that I've done this month, so we will, yeah, just crack on. And I guess the important thing is, amongst all of that, I got lots of stitching done. So first things first, fully finishes. I am so stoked with these. I was a little bit dubious, and I even made a practice one. I'll show you first. So this was my first ever attempt at making a stocking on a sewing machine. So I cut out a blank piece of the black Ada just so it was the right like thickness and stiffness of fabric. This white and red edging I bought from Turtle Bay Stitches when I was there a few weekends ago, and then the same for this gorgeous red and gold fabric. And I'll show you an uncut piece because it's a little bit hard. It's very subtle, but this is like a white and cream print cotton. So that was my first attempt. I didn't love how it came out. It's kind of a bit lumpy. The top here is really wonky and lumpy. So this was attempt one. I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I did it with a test piece and not an actual stitch. The actual things look something like this. So I ditched the trim just because it was kind of awkward to stitch on, and my sewing machine, whilst it's serviceable and it works, it's a little bit challenging to go slowly. I can do it, but like I think the pedal is a little bit stiff, so it kind of, you put pressure and then it sort of jumps and starts and goes quite fast, and then you have to ease back off to go slowly. So trying to go around some of these corners through like multiple layers of fabric whilst holding it all together, whilst trying to turn and trying to go slow, it was a bit much for me. So we went simple. All I did for these, I mostly followed the Stitching Owls tutorial, which I'll link her below. She very generously went to the effort of stitching the same one of these, I think 3 times, and finishing it 3 different ways. So I found that really, really helpful. And I've used that for all of them. So this is number 1. Number 2, 2 turtle doves. And this has got beads on now, so there's beads in the numbers, in these little baubles, and anywhere there's a red bead. I don't think I can get this in close enough. Anywhere where there's a red bead, a red little berry, there's a bead in the middle there as well. Sorry for the blurriness, not a camera expert. 3 French hens and 4 calling birds. So I stitched this one at the cut. Wow, saying I stitched it at the Cardiff retreat is generous. I started the outlines of the birds and didn't get very far, and then accepted I wasn't going to get very far and did it on the Monday instead. So yeah, those are the 4 finishes so far. I think I'm going to stick to this strategy of sort of once a month. So every 4 stockings I will have a finishing session. Information about this. So the pattern is 12 Days of Christmas Stockings from Annie B's Folk Art. I bought mine from Rachel at Talking Dog Stitchery. I think she actually sold out over the weekend because people saw me stitching it and then immediately went and bought it. So, which is very like flattering that people saw my finishes and liked it enough to want to buy it. I believe you can go onto Rachel's website and set up a notification. I know she's getting some back in as soon as possible. So if you want to stitch these, they're available there. I have done a little bit of a colour conversion, so mostly on these 2. This sort of, the darker colour in the body, you can see there's a little bit of patterning. I felt the original darker colour was too subtle of a difference, so I've darkened that up a few shades. And the same for this sort of greyish brown, beige, terrible with colour names. On the darker bird and the lighter bird's wing, I've darkened that up several shades, just because otherwise they sort of blended together a little bit too much. When I've posted these on Instagram, I have on my most recent one, so on stocking number 5, I've shared the conversion I've used. But if you want that and can't find it, drop me a message and let me know. I'm kind of winging it as we go, so I think I've stuck with where I've changed those 2 colours. I've done it consistently across the others. I think the only place it affects is some of these holly leaves have that darker sort of tealy blue from the first bird. But I think when we get to Maids of Milking, I think I might change some of that as well, because there's some, like, she has a dress and obviously skin, and then she has like an apron over the dress, and the 3 shades of pink and cream are all just a little bit samey. I don't think that says anything about the designing. I think they're gorgeous. I think my eyes are not the best when it comes to colour differentiation, so for my benefit I prefer a little bit more contrast. But yeah, so I'm absolutely loving those. The other fully finished, which I don't have to show you but is in progress I guess, is Tangled Fire. So that went off to Atelier Framing over the weekend, and I will be picking that back up when I go to Floss Friends in November, so in about 6 weeks time. I am kind of obsessed with the colour frame. It's actually stunning. I'm so excited to get it back and show people. Yeah, so that will be a future, probably if I'm gonna do these roughly monthly, it will be like an end of November update. So finishes, other finishes in the same project category, we have 5 gold rings. So I finished this yesterday, started it on Saturday, finished on Sunday. They're nice quick, sort of 1 or 2, I think I've done 1 that I did all in one day, but like 2, maybe 3 day stitches depending on how much time you've got. I've not done the beading on this one yet. I will probably stitch, as I said, 5, 6, 7 and 8, and then I will pop the interfacing on the back, add the beads and fully finish them. So that's that one for now. Yeah, I'm enjoying them. I think 1 a week is about right. Gives me weekdays to stitch on other things, and then Saturday, Sunday tend to stitch on those. I'm going to carry on with them. I'm hoping, I guess this is sort of hinting ahead at the plans section. With the 12 finishes, I'm planning to do 12 starts of Christmas. So in each stocking I will put the name, or I'll give my husband the names written down and he'll put a different one in each, so it'll be random and I won't know what I'm starting on each day, but I'll open one every other day running up to Christmas, and have a whole bunch of new stats, which I'm excited about because I finished lots this year and I now don't have many whips. Quickly, that's the pattern. It comes as a booklet, so multiple pages. I can't show you because like most of the pages are the pattern, but yeah, nice little booklet for that one. So next up we have a new start. So I started this, in retrospect, possibly a not brilliant idea, but I started this on a train on my way to the airport. This is Highland Christmas. I will pop a picture, let's go this side, of what this will look like. Oh, it's quite creased, but you'll get ironed when it's done. So this is 3 Highland cows on some lovely printed fabric, and I'm stitching this for my nan for Christmas. She loves Highland cows. She's got various artwork of them around the house, so I thought this would be a cute one. And I love, I don't know how well it will show up on camera, but across the top of the horns there, that white snow has some blending filament in, so it's a little bit sparkly. I did consider using a toile because it's just nice to stitch with. You don't have any of the problems you have with metallics and blending filaments, but unfortunately in the white toile the thread of sort of shiny material is like a silver grey. So I found when I did do a bit of a test stitch for it, but because the background is printed, it's not pure white, and because the blending filament is grey, it kind of just meant that the snowflakes that are on, or will be on this background, I've not done any of them, just blended in. It was really hard to see them, whereas I think you, like the white on the horns from a distance like that, you can tell it's there, which I think is really important for the effect. So we stuck with the kit materials, and I've got it here. So it's blending filament. It's very sort of fine shimmery material, and it's not rough, but it's also not completely smooth. And I found a few times it just, the way that it wraps around the regular white thread, because you use it with a strand of regular white cotton, it's a little bit prone to tangling, but it's not metallics. Could be worse. So that is that. My aim for this month was to do a third. I think I'm at about 28%, so I'm a little bit behind. I probably won't hit 33% tonight, but bearing in mind how much I've had going on this, how much I've had going on this month, I mean, I've had 3 days where I've just had no stitching because I've just been so busy travelling and all over the place. So hopefully next month I can catch up. I'm going to do another third, so that I'm then set up nicely to finish the last third in November. So Highland Christmas, purchased from Betty Stitchkit. Project number 3. So the 2 I've shown you so far, the Stockings and then the Highland Christmas, along with this one, are my 3 sort of goal pieces at the moment. I am aiming to get these finished by Christmas. Highland Christmas is going to my nan. The Stockings, obviously, I want finished by the end of November so I can use them as an advent calendar. And then this one I'm hoping to finish to gift to my husband. It is not a surprise. I've been working on it for 2.5 years. It has been out. He spilled Pepsi on it while I was away over the weekend, but you can't tell. If he hadn't told me, I genuinely wouldn't have known that had happened. But he did tell me because he knows. I don't have a picture of what this would look like finished because it's a randomized stitch along. So each of these rooms you had multiple options for. So the bottom half I'd already finished. I've been working on the top half this year, and I have swapped my strategy for this. Each of the rooms has quite a few colours, and some of them will only have a few stitches, and I don't enjoy swapping colours every 3 stitches. I've started doing these extreme cross country, so I have loaded all of the remaining rooms into Pattern Keeper, and I will pick one room. So I started off with the owlbear. So I would pick a colour in the owlbear, stitch it there, and then check through all of the other rooms in Pattern Keeper and add in the extra stitches, which is why you've got like the mimic here that's like half done, and I think it's goblins next to it that's part done. You've got potion room and a library, both of which are also part done. So I finished, my goal on this was 3 rooms per month. In November I'll probably aim to do the last one because there were 10. So 3 September, 3 October, and then 4 November. So one of the big ones and then 2 others. So the owlbear, the flaming skull, and then this one is possibly my favourite. I was the one that suggested this when the designer was designing it, so I'm gonna take the effort to show it properly. This is a random encounter table. So it's like a humanoid sort of with legs and arms table with a shield and a, can't think what that weapon's called, but yeah. He was bigger than I thought he was and didn't fit into the room that I originally had here. I had the same size as the flaming skull. So I've just had to unpick a little bit of the room borders, and I will need to go back in with, I need to figure out what thread that was and go back in and re-add the walls for that room. So this month I'm stretching my brain here. I think it's an elder brain up here and a smaller brain. I can't remember the technical term. This one's like an elder brain with tentacles. This one's like a brain with legs. It'll make more sense when I show you them finished in a month, but that's showing my lack of D&D knowledge. And then whichever other small room seems sort of close to being finished. I'm intentionally leaving the library till last so that I'm chipping away at it a little bit at a time with colours from other rooms, just because that one is, I think, in terms of number of colours, it's the most complicated, and it's the one that put me off working on this for ages because I just couldn't face going through like 35 colours of cross stitch in one room and then another 20, I think it's 24 colours of backstitch, so like 60 colours potentially in this one room if they're all different. So that's going to be saving the not best till last, but hopefully by doing it extreme cross country I'll have made a good dent. I mean, I've already made quite a good dent in that. So yeah, aiming for a end of November finish for this. And the way I've been doing it is the stockings I will always stitch at the weekend until they're done, and then at the start of the month, notwithstanding the holiday and the fact I took Highland Christmas on that because it's a kit and it was easy, I'll prioritise working on this until 3 rooms are done, and then I'll go back to Highland Christmas. So yeah, some nice progress on that. And I'm quite proud. Like, I'm normally very much a stitch what I fancy kind of person. I don't take well to being told what to stitch even by myself. I feel like I hear a lot of people say that, so at least that's like hopefully a relatable sentiment. But the one problem with those 3 projects, the D&D one has a lot of colours and I don't kit up. I work from my master stash. Highland Christmas is a paper pattern. I have scanned it and managed to get it in Pattern Keeper, but it's a bit wonky. It's a bit trippy on the eyes and you can't search for symbols, so it's not the most straightforward to like just grab something and go. And the stockings, again, is a paper pattern with a bunch of different colours and black fabric that's not ideal for travelling. So there were 2 occasions, I think 2, maybe 3 days, where I wanted something that was a little bit more straightforward, like just a block of colour or something, or just the niceness of having a Pattern Keeper that's searchable. So this came back out. This is, I don't think I've been saying fabrics, or, well, I guess Highland Christmas is, I think, a Bothy threads kit. D&D is Kalux Fabrics and the pattern designer is Taylor and Cromwell, and they are all stitched with either the kit provided threads or DMT. This one is on deep orange Balana 20 count even weave, which is, I believe, available from Willow Fabrics, although I think this might be one of the colours that's being discontinued. Stitched with DMC, 1/1 on the 20 count, and I've basically just outlined this tile. We did have a slight mishap. You might be able to see this bit at the bottom looks a little bit wonky. I miscounted and stitched the whole thing one stitch too far to this side, to the left, yeah. No, I stitched it one stitch too far to the right. I think as I'd come up over this line, I missed a stitch. The whole thing was too far that way. Fortunately, this tile is one of the ones where there's sort of 3 tiles that sort of match to make kind of like a mandala pattern. So all I did was put the extra stitches I was missing on this side and leave the ones on that side rather than trying to unpick one stitch from the end of each row. And I will just pick that up when I do the next one round. So I think that's all of the outlining. I think this is 823, one of the rare times I have threads in the bag. So what I might do is keep going with the 823 when I do work on this, just to continue outlining at least that extra tile next to it that I now kind of have to do. But it's still not exactly what I want in a travel project, because it's 1/1 on even weave. I do have to think about which direction I'm going and making sure that the threads don't slip into the weave of the fabric. I guess it's nice now that I've done the outline that I can, for some areas of this, just fill it in, but not all of it. So these big areas at the top, they're not just one colour to fill in. There's multiple colours sort of in stripes and patterns in there. So I'm sticking with the 3 like target projects, the Christmas goals, but the next time I get this out, I'll probably carry on with that blue for now, but only when I'm looking for something that, like, when I don't have the brain power for the other 3, because they do all require a fair bit of concentration and thought. But that is why I'm having lots of starts in December, to sort of inject some small easy stitching into my whip rotation. The last thing that I've done a little bit on, I think I might even have started this month. I don't think I showed it last time. This is my Hedwig kit, which I don't have the box handy. Pop a picture here or something. So having had Beth's help to make Brenda, who lives on the shelf, my little crocheted Triceratops last month, this month I have made a start on the Hedwig kit. I don't actually know, I can't figure out from the pattern whether this is meant to be his bottom, like the bottom of the shape, or if it's the top of his head. It is, I'm quite relieved that it's starting to look a little bit like a bowl at least, because initially it just looked like a very wonky circular coaster, but now I've started to do sort of stop doing increases and just done sort of consistent numbers of crochet stitches round. It is starting to look like it could become part of a body or a head. I do find this yarn really hard to work with. I don't know if that's just because I'm a newbie crocheter and my tension is a bit weird and I keep snagging bits of yarn that I'm not meant to, or splitting the yarn. It just, maybe I just need lots more practice. But yeah, again, this is one that I didn't like plan to stitch on. I'm not sad that I've stitched on it, but I'm also not gonna prioritize it. But yeah, enjoying working on that nonetheless. So I think that is all my whips. Consult my handy checklist. Yeah, so that's everything that I have stitched on this month. So only 5 projects, but like I said, if it had only been 3 and it had been those 3 that I'm working really hard to get finished by the end of November, I would have been completely chill with that. So plans for the next month is continue with those 3. There are 4 Sundays in October, so I should have 4 more stockings finished, and hopefully 3 of those and the one that I finished yesterday will be fully finished as well, just to keep on top of that. 3 more rooms on the D&D SAL, and another third and a bit to catch up on Highland Christmas. The other thing that I had on my Stitchy goals list, I had a few extra things. I had definitely prioritised this list, and those 3 were my like must do, not allowed to work on anything else until they're done kind of goals. I also had as my sort of second priority getting some fully finishing done, which I guess I did with the stockings, but I still have, and I'm pretty sure I said this a month ago, I literally have a stack of picture frames on my shelf. I now have the foam core board, the thinner one, so that it fits in the frames a little bit easier. Some of them are even cut to size. I even started pinning one over the weekend, but for reasons I won't go into, didn't get very far. So I would really like to get something else fully finished, just because it's a lot of finishes that I've done this year, and pretty much none of them are in a displayable state. So fingers crossed this time next month that will also be something I have chipped away at. I guess the more important one, it is John's birthday in 10 days time. So for the Magic School Samplers picture, the 3 that I finished, I really need to get them framed so that I can give them to him and we can get them up in our games room. And just because I don't want it to become a last minute thing, I'd really like to fully finish Squirrely for my nan so that that is done and ready to go. So yeah, 3 goal whips and fully finishing some stuff is my main October objective. I do have a new start plan though. Eek. So Rachel from Talking Dog Stitchery, it's her birthday at the end of the month, and she, to celebrate, has decided to start a new pattern and has invited people to start along with her. She has chosen to stitch a pattern from the primitive hare, and because the primitive hare is the primitive hare and she is the talking dog, she has come up with the absolutely genius hashtag of hair of the dog. Again, I'll put it here because I don't know if I've explained that very well, and has invited people to stitch along on a primitive hare pattern with her. I have perused all of the options. There are some that I really love but are quite big, like ones that I perhaps wouldn't stitch in the recommended colours because they're quite a primitive style, or like what I would consider sort of an antique kind of vibe, quite subtle colours, and as I said, my eyes don't really do subtle when it comes to colours. So there are a couple there that I would love to stitch but like change up the colours, but they're also quite big, and with all the starts that I have planned for December, which I will come to in a second, I just wanted something small. So I have found there's some, like, I think it's a Christmas trio that are all sort of, it was hard to tell from the picture what was stitched and what was fabric, but they were all sort of red and white. I think it might have been white or cream fabric with red stitching. So I have asked Rachel very nicely, and she is going to see if she can find that pattern for me, if she can get hard copies, and if not, I'll order it directly. And she, yeah, is going to do that so we can then find out the right colours, and hopefully there will be colours she stocks and I can get the whole lot and start that at the end of the month. So yeah, if you would like to join with that, go check out Rachel, pick a primitive hair pattern and join in. The like 4th, 5th thing on my list of priorities, which is probably not going to happen if I'm being realistic, and I guess is now slightly less important. So this afternoon I spent a bit of time, I had like a huge stack of fabric that I'd put aside for the Magic School Sampler, the other 22 tiles. Had a huge stack of fabric I put aside, but I'd put like the whole piece of fabric aside, and in looking forward towards my December starts, I wanted to be able to go through my fabric stash and know what I had available and in a lot of cases I didn't need the whole piece of fabric. So I have been through today, I'll show you the stack and then I'll show you one example. So this is now my rainbow stack of fabrics for my magic school samplers, and just as an example I have this is 32 count petrol even weave from, can't remember what company it's from, but I bought it from Lakeside Fabric, so type in petrol even weave and I'm sure it'll pop up. And I have with each one put a little card, so the number is what number, because each of the 25 tiles is numbered, and just so I can find the right pattern easily. The element is sound. I can't remember how they've turned that into a something mancer, like pyromancer. But yeah, anyway, this is 32 count. I'm planning to stitch it over 3, and I've had to write that down because I've cut them to size depending on how many I'm planning to stitch it over, which is kind of different in every case. I had to make myself a spreadsheet which did the maths to tell me how big it would work out, because I was just losing the plot. And then with borders, I think I showed on my last, on episode 2, my last update video, that and also here, in between the tiles there's like some almost like runic symbols. I'm not doing them on every piece, I'm using them to make some bigger and some smaller and kind of give a bit more variety to the sizing. Some of my fabrics weren't big enough to fit the border on because the piece was already quite small, or I'd already like said I was going to do it over 2 and that meant it took up the whole fabric. But the nice thing is this is now, they're all cut to size. I think there's only 3 elements left where I didn't have fabric that I liked for that element. And they're all, a lot of them are variegated, mottled, printed, they're all kinds of things. So the nice thing about that, I can put these in, I was going to say in a project bag, but I don't even know if they'd fit. I will find a way to store them so that they are put aside for the magic school sampler. And it then means that all of the remaining pieces of fabric, some of them were quite small but some were quite big still, they are now back in my fabric stash. So going into planning for December, I can start to put together, like, I've already got the pattern or I've already got the threads and here's some fabric, and I can kind of have them ready to go rather than pulling a name of a project out and then having to in the moment go buy the PDF and pick fabric and find threads, and it being like, I don't want it to be stressful, I want it to be something that I'm excited for each day rather than like feeling worn down by or anything. So on the note of that, December, I know I've said a couple of times during this 12 starts of Christmas in my 12 stockings. I am leaning towards going even more insane than that. So 12 starts of Christmas during most of the month, one every other day, because I'll be opening the stockings every other day. I think I'm planning to put in each one the name of a start, the name of a board game, and a couple of like celebrations or chocolate treats or something. And that way I've got a new start, me and my husband have a board game that we'll play, and then sweets. Can't go wrong with sweets. So that is 12. I am then also, I'm not 100% set on this, but for New Year's Eve, Sherrie was talking about 12 in 12, which is, I think, officially, as much as anything in cross stitch is official, because we all know we make it up as we go. 12 in 12 is starts at midday on New Year's Eve and finishes at midnight, and the idea is every hour during that 12-hour window you either start a new project or you work on a different project each hour. I guess at that point you can kind of make what you want of it. I am not a midnight kind of person, so I will probably do something like 10 till 10, but I am leaning towards doing another 12 starts then, so potentially 24 starts. The alternative, there's a couple of alternatives. One is that I start my biggest project, which would be Gamer Nouveau, which I handily have here. This is a Gecko Rouge kit that I was gifted about a month ago. I normally would have received this and immediately started it, but I wanted to be sensible and planned and measured about it and not just dive in and abandon all my other stitching. So I'm making myself wait until my 3 Christmas goals are finished. There is potential that if I feel like 24 starts is too much, it will be 13 starts, because I'll do 12 in the stockings, and then I'll start this one for the 12 in 12, and I will do something like 12 different colours. So each hour I will swap and do a different colour. That is one option. The other option is to include this in the 12 stocking starts, and I will do, for the 12 and 12, I will work on those 12 starts again, give them another small bit of work. So yeah, I'm not completely sold either way on 12, 13, 24. I'm kind of bouncing between them. I will show very briefly, but I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty of it. I have started a project wish list, so I use this app called Todoist, and you can see here, this is my project wish list. It says it has 44 things on it, but that includes where I've had like a note that says I've got fabric for this, or I've already got the pattern. But the reds are the ones that I'm looking at that I'm most likely to work on. The yellow is Gamer Nouveau, which is my, like, it could be just a new start, it could be my 12 and 12, it's sort of TBC. And then the blues here are where I have either the threads, or I already have the pattern, or like ones that aren't necessarily my, like, I have to start this right now, but like ones that I want to make sure I consider because I already have them semi-kitted, as much as I do kitting things. And then the ones at the bottom are in grey because they are things I would like to stitch, but I don't have any of the materials, and I'm not desperate to stitch them. I'd like to do them at some point, but I'm not like on the edge of my seat ready to start them. So to give a bit of preview, we have the Gamer Nouveau that I've just shown. We have Rise and Shine and Hold Your Head High, the Sunflower. This is one that I won from Just So Sherrie on her 3,000 subscriber 1 year giveaway. So thank you, Sherrie. And I picked a thread from Rachel's. I put it in back to front. I think it's literally called Sunflower. So that one's pretty much ready to go. And I guess for the other colours on there, I'll just use the DMC or pull from stash. But I thought the Sunflower deserved a nice bright pop of variegated thread. The next one is Lucy Beam. Cross stitch makes everything okayer. I don't have thread in this one because it's in the next one. My plan is this wall just here next to my stitchy spot. It currently has some artwork that my mum did for us, specifically for this room. I think I'm going to move that to the other side of our sofa, and this wall next to my stitchy spot, I'm going to have a bunch of sort of randomly sized frames with what my husband referred to as my meta cross stitch, where it's cross stitch about cross stitch. So this one, perfect example, cross stitch makes everything okayer. That will go on my meta cross stitch wall. And this is another one, oh god, which way? Introverted, but we'll eagerly discuss everything cross stitch. And this one, I've got threads in the back. I don't know if the glare will let you see it, but there's like a very, very dark sort of navy blue, this gorgeous turquoise colour, and then a sort of silvery grey. And my plan is to use similar colours. So I'll probably do the text on this one and this bottom text in the tealy colour, and then the writing, the introverted, will be in the very, very dark blue that's almost black, and the grey. And then I feel like I've misplaced one, I think somewhere there must be another one. I'm not gonna be able to remember what the designer is. I'll pop it on the bottom, but it's a pair of scissors, and I can't even remember what the phrasing is, but it's along the lines of, I don't know who used my fabric scissors, but I'll find you. So again, I'll use similar colours from that palette to make them all tie together. And as you can see, we've got the bright blue shelf here matches the wall, big wall in our living room. Everything in here is sort of either that sort of bright turquoisey teal colour or grey and white, shades of grey and white. So those are some of the ones that are on the list to potentially start as part of the 12. A couple that I wanted to ask your collective advice on. I've got a number of others picked out that I think in mid-November, I might make it mid-October so that there's plenty of time, but I'm going to do like a mid-month video specifically about my December plans once I've picked out my specific patterns, so that if any of you want to stitch the same things, start them together, or if anyone wants to do the like 12 starts of Christmas or the 12 in 12 but with your own patterns, also really cool. I really love hearing when people are stitching on similar things. I find it really motivating seeing people's progress. So yeah, if you're stitching on any of the same projects as me, please do let me know, because I can always use the extra motivation, particularly when I've got very specific goals like I have at the moment. It's lovely to see other people's. Some other ones just as a quick shout out. I have a number of hoops and crosses patterns on my wish list. I've got a Mill Hill Aurora kit. I can't remember the proper name, but it's like the Northern Lights. Fairy Dust by Nimue. I'll put that one below. I'll put all of them below, but that one in particular, it's, I want to say French. I think the translation is Fairy Dust, but I'll put it below. Cabin in the Woods by Flossabilities, which I've had the slightly insane idea today. I will show you because it's in arm's reach. Of these fabrics for the Magic School, this gorgeous mottled orange. Had the slightly insane idea to do Cabin in the Woods on that because I thought it would look like a cool sunset coming through the trees. I don't know if that's insane. Please share opinions. I don't want to waste the start and not like it, but when I was going through fabrics, and there's quite a lot of this left over, I was kind of thinking like, oh, maybe that'll go for this or that'll go for that, and that Cabin in the Woods is what came to mind for this. No idea why, because it's not even remotely the colour scheme, but let me know what you think. I'm planning to do the Hello from Liz Matthews Quaker Snowflake, which Just So Sherrie is stitching on like a, I want to say it's like a dark almost denim blue, but that is stunning. I got to see that in person last weekend, 10 days ago. I think that's going to be my next fully beaded project, so I'm going to be putting in an order for some quite a few beads from Spellbound Beads. I've ordered Books and Magic from Rachel as part of her needlework marketplace pre-order, so that's another one. I'll put all of the names and a very brief flash of pictures, but as I say, I'll do a proper video on this and my fabric choices and stuff. The couple that I wanted advice on, oh, there's also some Owl Forest goodies hopefully coming my way very soon. Some of us are getting together to put a group order and split the postage, so that'll be exciting too. The one that I wanted to ask, I really want to try Sashiko. I've not looked into it very much, but if anyone has any advice, if that's something that any of you do, and you have any resources or advice or where to start, I would love to know. The other thing I would like to do and try is, I'll put a picture here because I took a picture of a model stitch. It's quite blurry. I regret not taking more time to get a better picture, but when I was at Create Nostalgia back in February, they had a model stitch, and it's basically using like satin stitch, I suppose, with the DMC pearl cottons, and it just gives a gorgeous quilted vibe. It's just, I don't know what it is, I just want to like stroke it. It just looks so shiny and smooth, and just it makes the brain gremlin happy. So I would love to stitch something like that, but I'm struggling to find other designers. So that one was from Nancy's Needle, was the designer. I'm struggling to find any other designers just to sort of explore what my options are. So if anyone knows what I'm on about, wouldn't blame you if you didn't. If you do, and you know any other designers, or you know what that style of stitching is called, I think it's needlepoint, but when I've tried putting that in, I'm not sure I'm getting the right things. That is like a new type of stitching, I guess, that I'd love to try. Other things I have on the list, Greenhouse of Oddities. Emma and Joe talked me into this over the weekend. I didn't take much. They basically said they were going to do it, and I was like, yeah, I'm sold. Probably going to start that in December, and then they're going to do a stitch along next year, I think. I think that's it. There's lots of others on the list, but I'm not going to read out the whole thing for you. Yeah, so I am, as you saw, I have a ranked list on the go. I'm sure they will move around a bunch more, but probably in a few weeks' time, depending on how many are on the list, how many are in my like absolutely want to start this immediately category, I will decide whether to do 12 or 24, and then I will do a video about kicking those up. I have just forgotten, or just remembered that I have forgotten. There's the scissors pattern. God, sorry, not sorry, but I'm losing my sanity. So I don't know who used my fabric scissors, but I will find you. There we go. That's the other paper pattern. That's another Lucy beam. So that will be done with those same colour palette. The most important of these starts, I cannot believe that I almost just forgot to mention this. While I was at the Cardiff Stitchy Day, another thing I've just remembered that I've forgotten. At the Cardiff Stitchy Day, when I first arrived, there were some lovely ladies who, and this is the first time that this had happened, greeted me with, "Hi Jess, we've watched your Flosstube." And my brain, like, I guess I figured that would eventually happen, that I would bump into people who knew me that I didn't know them because of me doing this. But I had not mentally prepared myself for that, and I had not slept very well the night before. So I was not very mentally with it. I'm not a morning person anyway. So yeah, I wanted to apologise because I feel like I genuinely don't know what my reaction to that was. I think I might have just panicked and walked away. So I'm really sorry. That was really lovely of you guys to say hello, and yeah, that one I am genuinely sorry for. But yeah, while I was at the Cardiff Stitchy Day, I did meet lots of lovely people, and I think I was chatting to the lady sat next to me about my 12 Starts of Christmas plan, and Sophie from Turtle Bay Stitches happened to be walking past and overheard, and without any hesitation she said, "Can I pick one of your patterns?" And without any hesitation I was like, hell yeah. And I kid you not, it must have been maybe 3 minutes later, she came back and handed me this. So she was also a vendor at the Stitchy Day, so she sells these fat quarters. So she had picked a pattern from Rachel's table, wrapped it in a fat quarter, and just came and handed it to me. I, having filmed this, will be handing this to my husband to keep safe and hidden, because I'm pretty good. Like I'm fairly certain that I can wait and that I wouldn't be tempted. But I'm probably going to give him all of the, as I like kit each one, I'll probably just give them all to him to keep hold of so that I don't get tempted to start anything early. So this was a very, very kind gift from Sophie. And I am possibly more excited for this than anything else on my wish list. Added to which, at the very end of the day, Rachel walked up to me and said, handed me a handful of floss and said, "I think you'll be needing these." So she did say she has since messaged me and shared with me like the dimensions vaguely so that it doesn't spoil anything, just so I know what kind of fabric to get. But we have 2 skeins of oatmeal, which are a sort of sort of creamy white. They're not cream though, this is where I suck at colours, but pretty not white. And then 2 skeins of Milady's Teal, which is a sort of bluey grey teal colour. And then some gorgeous cottage garden threads. So we have Zulu, which is a lovely sort of warm orangey brown. We have Storm, which is, I'm not sure how much what I'm saying and what I'm seeing here is being affected by the fact that it's quite grim weather outside, so our lights are quite a warm white. So I think this is sort of dark greys, regular greys, maybe a little bit of brown in that dark grey. It's really lovely. And then my 2 favourites, so Sizzler, which is sort of hot pinks and deep purples. I think there's a little bit of blue going on in there, maybe just a little bit. And then Lima, which again has, I think that's a little bit of purple, but it's mostly different shades of blue. I think the purple's literally just at the top here. So Rachel was telling me over the weekend the way that Cottage Garden dye their threads, where the cut end is, because they're in pre-cut lengths, the cut end will always be the same colour on both ends, so that when you finish a thread you don't have the stress of like trying to match up. Oh, I used the light end of the thread last time to start, so I finished on the dark end, now I need to start on the dark end so that they match. So yeah, love those. They are a gorgeous colour palette. I'll try and hold them all up together. Ooh, not coordinated enough for this. So yeah, there you go. Got the nice bright ones and then the grey and the oatmeal to sort of complement them. So I am insanely excited for that start. Rachel sent me the fabric size and that the suggestion is, I think she said, a medium to light cream. I'm gonna do a floss toss though, because those oatmeal are very pale and I don't want them to disappear into the fabric. So we shall have a look and see what I can find that looks good with all those colours, which I'm sure is lots of things. But yeah, that is my plans. I think that's everything. I feel like I have waffled a little bit, but that's fine. I have enjoyed showing you things, and I, as always, will be over on Instagram between now and my next video. So yeah, pop over and give me a follow if you're interested in more regular updates. I try, it doesn't always happen. And yeah, as I said, let me know if you're stitching on any of the same things as me. I love to see other people's progress. Let me know if you know what the needlepoint, I think it is needlepoint, but if you know any designers that do needlepoint patterns that you think I might like, let me know. And yeah, for anyone who's coming to Tan's birthday, I think that's the only Stitchy event I have next month. So anyone who is coming to her birthday Stitchy day, I will look forward to seeing you there. And for everyone else, I will see you hopefully in a few weeks for a mid-month, and in a month for an end of month update. In the meantime, happy stitching. Bye.